I think in any contest of high-level sports, played with great stakes, it's frankly impossible to ignore the referees, to act like they don't dictate the events at play, or at least to escape that idea. I don't like to fixate on refereeing. I would like to pretend they don't exist, like they're not really impacting, like they're just calling it like it is. And they might make some mistakes here and there, but in the end, it all evens out. That's just what I would like to believe, because I feel like it's a cop-out most of the time, 90% of the time, when somebody complains about the refs. Well, you could have executed better, and then you wouldn't have to be complaining. You could have just won the game. Even in a game like the Nuggets last night, I see people complaining, Nuggets fans, salty ones at that, crying about the physicality. I mean, this is a game where Mark Davis let Mike Malone do this. Unleash hell in his face for 5 seconds. Didn't even get a technical foul. And Jamal Murray can toss a projectile into a live play with no punishment. Now, that is as I am recording this video, there's been no punishment. I don't know if he's going to get suspended or what. Probably, I feel like he should. That should be grounds for it. It was a live play. You threw something from the bench. Definitely not something you're allowed to do. In general, the less we hear whistles in a basketball game, though, the better. Sometimes you must get a game under control as a mediator, but you don't make it about you. And last night, the refs made it about them. And the Knicks certainly were the beneficiary of that. Once again, we can't ignore the fact that Jalen Brunson was incredible. The energy of this battle was immaculate. I'm not sitting here claiming that the Pacers would have won this game without the meddling of the referees. I don't believe the result was decided. That being said, the fate of this game 1 was solidified by the stripes. That's a bad look for the NBA. Now, I don't want it to taint what we actually saw happen on the court. Right now, right this second, I feel very compelled to declare Jalen Brunson the best point guard in the NBA. He can't be stopped in a one-on-one. Nemby is not a sufficient defender. The funniest thing was TJ McConnell actually seemed to bother him more than any individual Pacer. But Brunson gets whatever he wants on the court. And if you want to stop him from scoring 40, you need to bring a double team. That's pretty much the only way. At least for the Pacers. For a team like this, they don't specialize in defense. It's not their trade. They're going to give up points in some fashion. They can decide basically how they want to do that. If they want to give it up from Brunson, if they want to make him work for all his points, or if they want to get scored on from the other guys playing 4-on-3 because you're doubling. So the Villanova trio had their best game ever in the NBA. No question about it. This is team chemistry that transcends what we know to be team chemistry in the NBA. Because what most teams have is a couple core players that have been playing together for a couple years. Most good teams, that is. When you have brought a roster of players together that coexist just naturally well together, this is just a different level. Because these guys have won national championships. And I'd love to watch this. I love that this is something that we have in our game because the connection is evident. That being said, I hate the flopping. If these guys would just stop doing that, I mean, I don't really even know what else to say. Dante DiVincenzo was getting his acting game on in the final few minutes of this game, and it totally changed everything. Jalen Brunson just does that naturally. He'll just throw his head back every 10 seconds that he gets touched. There's so much to like with how these guys play the game and play together. The product would be a lot better if we didn't have to react to, because I can't stand it. That being said, this series is very much still a series. The Pacers played good enough to win. What contributions from the bench? TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, Isaiah Jackson. Legitimately, the Indiana Pacers are at least 8 deep, and they can play significant minutes to at least 3 guys on their bench, game in, game out, which gives them an edge over the Knicks in a certain department because Tom Thibodeau just does not do that at all. He will play his starters the entire game. This is Tibbs never changed. This is Tom Thibodeau just being stubborn and not listening to what anybody said over the years about his style and the way that he approaches the playoffs. Fuck you, I'm going to do it my way. And Tibbs' way has always been good enough to succeed in the regular season, succeed in a playoff round or 2. That being said, there's a reason he's never made the finals. It's not just because his teams might not have been dominant enough. I mean, he's certainly coached teams that could have made an NBA finals. But when you don't trust your bench and when you put so many miles on your star players, if you're going to play Josh Hart every single minute of every single playoff game, I know that he's good for it. He's a type of player, warrior type of player that he believes himself to be capable of that. That being said, it's only a matter of time before somebody important gets hurt, and when they do, that's a large void to fill because you're literally playing all your key players 45 plus minutes. And so even though I did pick the Knicks to make the finals before the postseason started, I still feel like any given round they could lose. And I thought this of the last round too. It's like this is a team that they can win any series and they can lose any series. Although I don't think they would be able to win the finals if they got there. Just because I feel like it's a matter of time before they run out of gas. With other teams, the starters and the key players are just going to be more fresh if they don't have to do so much, work so hard, and play every single minute. Now, Tyrese Halliburton in this game, this is very similar to Game 1 of the Bucks series for him. He barely takes any shots. And I thought for the most part he actually played better than what the stats would indicate, because I still think he's distributing the ball, he's impacting the game even if he's not shooting. He is still keeping things moving and getting the basketball into the right player's hands, setting his guys up to score. This guy's an offensive player, and his offensive contribution, it goes beyond how many points he scores. He just makes the right smart play. Now, down the stretch of a basketball game, though, the right smart play for a guy like him is to be very involved, to shoot the basketball, put some pressure on the defense, and not pull a disappearing act the way that he did, especially with 2 bad turnovers in key moments during the game. He took 1 2-point shot the entire game. So I think this is another case where it's his first game of the series, so you're still not really used to this environment and playing in this sort of game. And I think he gets better as the series goes on. But I really don't think Indy fans have much to be concerned about after this game. Yes, you should be upset at the refs, but the series is far, far, far from settled. Every Knicks game, it feels like it's going to be close. You're always going to have a chance. The execution has to be better from the Pacers is really what it comes down to, because the Knicks are going to execute. They feel very comfortable in that late game situation. OG Anunoby, monster defensive performance in this game, especially down the stretch, and just making key plays everywhere. Outside of that big Nova trio, he was definitely a huge impact guy down the stretch and a reason why they won this game. Even though I did think that Pascal, when he got that one-on-one against OG, he was generally scoring. He was definitely comfortable with the OG matchup and just being able to take a quick shot and make it and not really be fazed by that defense. So we'll see, because that matchup is very intriguing to me, these two guys generally guarding each other. I'm ready to see guys start to mix it up a little bit more. I want to see some more chippiness, some more running your mouth, talking shit. You know, I just want an escalation of drama, which I think we will get, because we will have a lot of grueling, close contests down the stretch, especially when you get to Indy. The Pacers just act different at home. They're just more cocky and more annoying, and they're just way better. So that's when I think things really get interesting in this series, regardless of the result of Game 2. But still, any Knicks game is going to be extremely entertaining. I'm always down to watch the Knicks play in the playoffs so far. Every game has been good. Just please let the guys play. Stop fucking with the game refs, please. And identify some flopping. Don't be so quick to blow a whistle for these guys, because that's what they're trying to do. They're playing for the whistle, and I don't think this is a behavior that is ultimately going to reward them in the end. Because if you stop calling shit like that, they will adjust, okay? It's not like they don't know how to play without it, but because you are calling it, they're just going to keep doing it. They're just going to keep feeding into it. And that's a problem.